Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly fascinating and honestly pretty terrifying case study of a supernatural contract. We're breaking down the anatomy of a dark transaction known as the Andakup Siddhi, or the Dark Well Ritual. Now, this isn't just your standard spooky campfire tale. It's a meticulously structured look at cause, effect, and, well, the absolute ultimate price of greed.
So, let's just kick things off with a really simple question. If you could bypass all the struggles of life, the 9-to-5 grind, the constant financial stress, and just instantly get unlimited wealth and power, would you do it? And what if that shortcut wasn't, say, a clever stock investment, but a literal pact with something unseen? Keep that scenario in the back of your mind, because that's the exact premise of the chilling sequence of events we're about to dive into.
And that brings us perfectly to the psychological baseline of our two main guys, Mithun and Rajan. So these two grew up together, but their mindsets, total opposites. Rajan is your classic picture of stability. He studied hard, landed a steady government job, settled down, and he's content. Mithun, on the flip side, literally calls a traditional job slavery. He's entirely obsessed with jugaad, which is basically slang for a hack, a loophole, the ultimate shortcut. He relies on borrowing cash, drinking, and constantly scheming to find the absolute easiest path to the top. And that fatal flaw right there, that need for the easy way out, that's the domino that starts this whole tragedy.
Now here is where it gets kind of baffling. When Rajan finally sits Mithun down and asks what on earth his grand plan is, Mithun gets super excited and reveals his new project. And guys, it's not a business model, it's an occult ritual. And where exactly did he find this life-changing information? On a torn page from a discarded prison newspaper. I mean, a literal jail newspaper. But Mithun says the article was packed with stories of people who did this ritual and instantly got rich. He is completely sold. He completely ignores all the massive flashing red flags of trusting an incomplete, magical how-to guide found in the garbage at a prison.
Okay, so moving into Section 1, the Dark Well Ritual, or the Andakup Siddhi.
So the source material details this highly specific occult process. It has to be done in total isolation, specifically at the bottom of an abandoned dry well way out on the edge of a village. Let's look at how this ramps up over 5 days, because it is very systematic. Day 1, Mithun climbs down into this dry well with a lamp, some black soil, and that torn newspaper. He spreads the soil, lights the lamp, reads the fragmented chants. By day 3, things are escalating. He draws a circle of ash on the well floor, puts a lemon right in the middle, and hammers 3 iron nails into the brick walls. And it's noted that with every strike of that hammer, the echoes distort, and he actually starts to physically feel like he's being watched from underneath. Then, day 5, the climax. He's sitting there in total darkness, no lamp, no flashlight. He finishes reciting the full mantra. Suddenly, the ground beneath him turns ice cold, and this heavy, raspy voice echoes right out of the dry earth, asking just one question: ask.
So right here is the crucial moment. When this unseen entity asks what he wants, Mithun does not hesitate for a second. His voice is cracking in the dark, but he demands exactly what you'd expect from his character profile: money, power, easy life. And the second those words leave his mouth, the well just goes completely dead silent. The ritual is over. The contract has officially been proposed.
Which leads us to part 2, the illusion of wealth.
Because, in any transaction, you expect a payout, right? And within a week, the entity seemingly delivers. Mithun's life does a total 180. It starts off kind of small. He just goes on these undefeated streaks in gambling. He literally stops losing. Then, boom, multiple back-to-back lottery wins. Before long, he's effortlessly closing these massive real estate deals, resolving huge property disputes with practically a wave of his hand, and making astronomical commissions. He goes from a shack with a leaking roof to a sprawling luxury mansion with servants, brand new cars, and enough cash to throw these massive feasts just to show off to his friend Rajan. In Mithun's mind, he did it. He successfully cheated the system.
But then the haunting began. And this is where the tone of our explainer drastically pivots. Because, as we're about to see, in the world of dark magic, there is absolutely no such thing as free money. He signed a contract in the dark, and all that invisible ink detailing the hidden terms and conditions, it's finally starting to show up.
Let's move to Section 3, the demonic debt.
So, let's break down how this transaction starts defaulting, because the dismantling of Mithun's life is just as systematic as how he built it. Step 1. A massive real estate deal completely collapses over forged papers, and the furious owners force Mithun to cover the losses out of his own pocket. Step 2.
His unnatural luck just evaporates. He starts losing every single gamble, bleeding his accounts dry, until he's actually selling his luxury cars just to buy groceries. Step 3. The psychological torment kicks in. He starts having these recurring nightmares where he's trapped in a pitch-black, suffocating, damp cave and he can't get out. And then, step 4, the terror gets physical. He starts waking up in the middle of the night, gasping for air, feeling like massive, invisible hands are physically strangling him in his own bed. The entity is coming to collect its debt.
So at this point, Mithun is completely broken and terrified. He runs to Rajan, just begging for help. Rajan's wife, Kajal, steps in and suggests they bring an expert from her village to diagnose whatever this supernatural crisis is. Enter Baba Gorakhnath, a local tantric.
And this brings us to the most critical, fatal piece of missing data in Mithun's whole plan. Baba Gorakhnath visits the dry well, takes one look, and immediately identifies the problem. Yes, Mithun performed the Andakup Siddhi, and yes, it successfully awakened an entity that grants wishes. But that torn gel newspaper conveniently left out a massive maintenance clause, the Mahalaya Amavasya. This is a very specific moonless night where the awakened demon requires a mandatory blood sacrifice to keep it appeased.
Baba Gorakhnath looks at Mithun and delivers this absolutely chilling diagnosis. You woke him up and you left him hungry. The newspaper didn't print the whole truth. Mithun's entire shortcut was built on incomplete data. He basically signed up for a high-stakes supernatural subscription without knowing there were monthly premiums. And now, his account is severely past due.
Which brings us to the climax in Section 4, the final sacrifice. So now that the true terms of the contract are out in the open, it just so happens that tomorrow night is the Mahalaya Amavasya. So on this pitch-black night of the new moon, an absolutely terrified Mithun climbs back down into that dry well to try and settle his demonic debt, while Baba Gorakhnath watches safely from a distance. And Mithun's desperate offering to clear his ledger? A single black rooster. He lights his lamp, stammers his way through the mantra, and cuts the rooster's neck, letting the blood drip onto the dry earth.
But it doesn't work. The instant the blood hits the soil, it just completely dries up into dust. The ground beneath him starts violently shaking and cracking apart. The entity rejects the late payment, and its voice echoes out, heavy, rough, and just entirely devoid of emotion. I gave you everything, but you never visited me. You never gave my sacrifice.
Mithun drops straight to his knees. He is pleading for his life, promising he'll come every single month from now on. He'll never miss a payment again. But the entity's response just highlights the brutally strict accounting of dark magic. The voice just booms back, "What about the past sacrifices? I've been hungry for months."
And guys, the penalty for defaulting on this kind of contract is absolute. The ground at the bottom of the well literally splits wide open. A massive fountain of blood sprays up from the earth, covering Mithun. And in the blink of an eye, these huge, shadowy black hands shoot out of the chasm, grab him, and violently drag him down into the earth. Before he can even get a scream out, the ground just seals right back up. Complete silence returns to the well. The debt was collected in full.
Baba Gorakhnath climbs out of the well and he explains the final, incredibly harsh law of these dark rituals to Rajan. If a demon is insulted, if a pact is broken, the entity takes its revenge and its payment, itself. Mithun's death wasn't some random accident. It was the direct, inevitable result of entering a deadly negotiation armed with nothing but incomplete knowledge and a really greedy desire for an easy shortcut.
Which really just leaves us with this final, lingering thought. We started all this by asking if you would take a shortcut to unlimited wealth. But after seeing the true anatomy of this transaction, seeing how the universe, or, the shadows beneath it, always balance their ledgers, if you knew the true hidden cost of an unearned shortcut, would you still take it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning those easy ways out, and I'll catch you next time.